So let's jump into yet another Patreon listener question. Once again, if you are interested in being part of the Transformer Slag Patreon, check the description below, check the comments, or of course, patreon.com/protoman, and become a patron. You could get your name put in the end credit scroll, special Discord access, maybe even a gift in the mail, and of course, what we have today, a Patreon listener question. Get your question answered live on air on the podcast. So we have a question from DownrightSuperb, and he wants to know, I'm curious about the state of Beast Wars. After the reveal of Kingdom, do you think there'll be more or less Beast Wars Masterpiece figures? We can't forget about the Beast Wars movie that's still rumored to come up. Do you think they would want to oversaturate Beast Wars or either hold off on the main line or masterpieces until after the movie runs its course? Or will they just ride the tide until the wheels fall off? Do you think any of the Beast Wars sales will affect the characters in the movie? Will the movie finally trigger a masterpiece Beast Wars US retail release? Okay, so there's a few things to deconstruct here, so we'll do it in pieces here. First thing he asks, do you think we'll be getting more or less more Beast Wars figures in the coming years since Kingdom? Well, once again, like I always say, look at the past. Since Beast Wars became a part of the Masterpiece line in 2016, late 2016, with Optimus Primal, aka Beast Convoy, we've always gotten more or less 2 Beast Wars releases every single year since that. Like after Optimus Primal, we got Cheetus, aka Cheetor, and the, I guess we'll call it the legendary version, the anime accurate Optimus Primal afterwards. In 2018, we got Dinobot and the Cheetor repaint of Shadow Panther. The year after that, we got Megatron and Black Arachnia, aka Black Widow. And we have a stacked year this year already with Lio Convoy at the beginning of the year. We had Burning Convoy, the red repaint of Optimus Primal. And we got Tigatron coming still. We have Tigatron that's coming this month, actually, in September. So it's pretty consistent, considering that the smaller list of characters that they could pull from TV appearances. Specifically, I mean, we could fall into Beast Wars 2nd and Beast Wars Neo and really, stack that list. But really, when you're looking at the CG characters from the original Beast Wars show, it's a small list, and yet they're pretty much putting out two figures a year. And, obviously you're factoring in repaints and stuff and little exclusives, but we're always getting something Beast Wars from the MP line in some shape or form every single year. Now, the next question is, do we think, the Beast Wars movie will have an effect on it? If anything, in my opinion, it might even increase the output of Masterpiece stuff. You might even find yourself in a situation, it might even be re-releases. If a Beast Wars movie comes out, which will obviously have top-tier characters, you pretty much are going to expect something like an Optimus Primal or a Cheetor probably getting a reissue, maybe a Beast Megatron too, depending on who's in the movie. It'll have a direct correlation with that. And of course, we can't forget there'll probably be movie masterpieces of them too. Even the Bumblebee movie, which kind of was aesthetically its own thing, even though it's still, that's a whole other debate. But even though it was aesthetically its own thing, it still was part of the movie masterpiece line. So that's a whole other wrinkle you got to consider, that even a Beast Wars movie will probably still have Beast Wars movie masterpieces. Then he goes on to say here, do you think, they want to oversaturate the market? I'll tell you one thing with Hasbro. Like you just said before, they'll ride it until the wheels fall off. That's what they do. If something is popular, they really hammer it down until people don't care, because it's like the old saying goes, hit the iron while it's hot. And if they have a movie out and Beast Wars is popular and that's what's making money, just play that up. And when the wheels fall off, fall back into G1, look to Unicron trilogy, maybe animated, maybe Prime, and then come back to Beast Wars in 5-10 years. That's what they've always done, and it's always worked. And then he wrote here, do you think any any Beast Wars sales affected which characters will be put in the movie? That one I don't know. That one it's more I mean, you would think that they'll go with number one, the iconic beats that people are familiar with, and I mean casual fans. So if you look at Beast Wars when it was at its height of popularity between, like, let's say late season 1 and early season 2 in 97 going into 98, which is like the peak of popularity for Beast Wars in terms of ratings and sales of toys, you would say, like, well, you know, you got to definitely have Primal, Cheetor, you know, Rat Trap. And then you also fall onto, like, well, what trademarks do they really want to make sure they're being used? There's probably going to be a few other characters, too, because you look at the Michael Bay movies, and sure, they gave us our Jazz, our Bumblebee, our Ratchet, you know, our Ironhide, our Optimus Prime. But on the same side of the Decepticons, they made sure, okay, you know, we're going to put a Starscream, we're going to put a Megatron, and then they threw us a left curve with, like, a Blackout or something. So I could see them going, like, okay, we're going to give you the beats, and then we're going to throw you Retrax. We're going to throw you Mana-Terror, maybe Polar Claw. Who knows? Or maybe a brand new Beast character completely, an original creation that's pulled through a trademark save. Like, they might go, well, we really need to use that Shockwave trademark, so we're going to create a Beast Wars Shockwave character. Who knows? Who knows? Or Bludgeon, or even something more like, you know, down the line of Kilter, Octo Punch, you know? So it's something that one, you know, they're going to use the more mainstream guaranteed characters, but you might see some little things here and there. And the last one here, and this is the most interesting one in terms of, like, the question, will the movie finally trigger a Masterpiece Beast Wars USA retail release? I've talked about this before on a stream. I forget which one it was. It was a couple months back. But I've always felt that the reason why we never got Masterpiece Beast Wars toys in American retail, which is very bizarre considering Beast Wars is way more popular here than it is in Japan or anywhere else in the world, was just bad timing. I mean, when you really look at it, like, that Optimus Primal came out in October of 2016, and that's when it, like, just came out in Japan. And literally, like, in 2016 going into 2017, you know, there was a couple of masterpieces that were released via Toys R Us here in America. We had the Bumblebee with Exosuit Spike, which was, I think, MPO8, they called it over here. And then they had that Shattered Glass Optimus Prime that had super limited numbers. And then they had the MP10 reissue in early 2017. And around that time that those three came out in Toys R Us, like, the Optimus Primal was just hitting in Japan, Toys R Us was also going through a lot of major money problems, and it wasn't until, like, I think it was like mid 2017 that they publicly announced their bankruptcy. Now, why do I bring this all up? I think that it was just bad timing. Primal came out, they had these three other masterpieces from G1 that they had put out that were on the shelves at the time of older product that were ported over here to America. And Toys R Us, being probably the best platform to have masterpieces, was going through financial problems. And it was just very difficult for them. And ultimately, in the end, by losing Toys R Us, you know, through that timing of late 2017, just when Masterpiece Beast Wars toys were becoming a thing, and of course, like I said, the next one would be Cheetor in February of 2017, I think they just kind of, you know, when you're going through bankruptcy, the last thing you're doing is negotiating having new Masterpiece toys. Because, again, MPs are not really a Walmart thing or a Target thing. It could be in the future, but, you know, as of this recording, it's not really a thing with them. It's more of a, you know, GameStop, or like just more, and only recently GameStop has really started to carry toys. You know, back in 2016, it wasn't so much a thing. It was, you know, it was this and that. And when you look at, like, today, like, what masterpieces come out in U.S. retail today, it's almost 100%, if not 100%, movie masterpieces. And the main reason for that is because movie masterpieces are so popular in China, and the quote, and I use air quotes here, Chinese packaging is English packaging, that it just kind of works out, where they don't have to repackage the product, they don't have to, like, change everything. So all the masterpieces we've been getting thus far have been movie masterpieces, with the exception of one, and it's a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, and it was the Ghostbusters MP10 Prime. But everything else since then has been everything else since literally like that last MP10 Prime reissue in 2017. After that, they did MPM Bumblebee, and it's been nothing but movie masterpieces since. We have not had a single masterpiece of G1 Nature or Beast Wars since then. Since that, afterwards, it's just been movie because it's the safer bet. It's more mainstream, and the platforms in order to sell those things, at least at this time, have been have been stuff like GameStop and more obscure kind of locations. So it's just, again, Beast Wars masterpiece in retail. I could see it being a thing, but it's gonna take a movie to do it. Because Primal came out back in 2016, and then, the whole retail world in the United States just fell apart. And it became very difficult for Hasbro to kind of negotiate with any company. Hey, we need this, $60 to $100 product to sit on your shelves with no guarantee that it'll sell or not. So it's a difficult one. So, but I hope that it kind of answers it. Pretty much like to sum it all up, though, is that the oversaturation question, Hasbro's going to always oversaturate it until it doesn't sell. I don't think there's going to be a decrease in Beast Wars figures, masterpiece figures. I think there'll be an increase. I mean, we went from 2 a year to now 3 a year. Who knows? They might keep that 3 a year with an odd repaint on the side with that 3 a year. And I mean, look, we got Tigatron coming. Not much that you could repaint from that. But Lio Convoy, I could see a black or a Galva Lio Convoy repaint. So there's going to be something else just of that. And then a brand new mold of something. Who knows whoever will be the next one. But definitely Kingdom is going to spark more interest with people. A Beast Wars movie is going to spark more interest. So there's definitely going to be a lot of renewed interest in the brand. And the 90s kids are going to come out in droves when, even if they, if you were a 90s kid and you liked Beast Wars, you watched the show back in, 96, 97, 98, and then you fell off, Pokemon came out or whatever, that became the new hotness in your life, and then you went into Pokemon and Beyblade or whatever, like I said, like if you were that target demographic back then. But then time passes, now you're in your late 20s, early 30s, and you go, hey, I liked Beast Wars. I remember that show after I started, I liked Beast Wars, and then I started like Pokemon and stuff, and I forgot about Beast Wars. But now I remember Beast Wars. Hey, maybe I'll pick up that Cheetor toy. Or the flip side of it is if they do a Beast Wars movie. The nostalgia factor that they bring stuff back with. I could see that being done. This is something where I always tell people, go back and watch my live segments with Aaron Archer where we talk about branding and stuff, making something legendary. That was like the quote that I used, where some stuff, even the most faintest memory instills some kind of memory and knowledge, and then financial interest from a party. So it's something also to jump into. But I hope that more or less answers your question. I know I kind of went into the weeds a little bit of it, and especially with technicalities and financial stuff and release dates, but how everything kind of works with it. But it really is all kind of connected in our hobby and getting a better understanding of how stuff is going to be done in the future. So once again, thanks again for the listener question, Downright Superb. It was a good one. It was a really good one. And once again, if you are interested in being part of the Patreon, or just want to support the podcast, say, hey, I'm doing a good job, you know what I mean? Check the description below, patreon.com/protoman. Get in on the action and ask a question.